What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 70213 Lakers podcast. Got Las Vegas covering LA. Your 2020 NBA bubble champions. Isaiah, I know you're not over that. I bet you're still loving life. So we're going to go right into this. We got the Dennis Schroder trade. I'm sure all you guys have heard about it. So the Lakers are trading Danny Green and the 28th overall pick for runner-up of Sixth Man of the Year, Dennis Schroder. That's huge, man.
Big trade, man. Big trade. For starters, I heard that last week on Thursday, the Lakers were working out. I'm not sure how many people they worked out for the draft, but they were working out Nico Mannion, the freshman point guard out of Arizona. And I hope that maybe he could be a steal at 28 because he was someone who was projected to be like lottery pick going into a year ago, going into the college basketball season. And he his stock kind of just dropped throughout the season. So on some mock drafts, he was looking to go second or maybe late first or maybe undrafted altogether. But the Lakers were working him out. Maybe he could have been something at 28. But, things changed because next thing you knew, they traded the pick away for Dennis Schroder. So, I like the trade. Big trade. Schroder, who is someone who can run the offense, run the point, and score at will, especially when he's hot. When he's on fire, he's nearly unstoppable. And on the defensive side, he's someone who likes to get on the opposing player's face, kind of get on their nerves, get in their head. So I like it. It could be it's a nice pickup. Hopefully the trade goes through and everything.
I say he's the perfect kind of player for the Lakers, especially right now because you're expected to lose Rondo. So he's perfect. He's literally pretty similar to Rondo, except he can create his own shot and he can score, and he's younger, faster as well. So this Dennis Schroder is the perfect requirement for the Lakers. Plus one thing too, if Avery Bradley does leave, which I think he's the most debatable one, a lot of analysts just don't know what's going on. He's been dead quiet. I personally say he's out for the bag of money. That's just me. But if he leaves, Dennis Schroder can even be incorporated in the starting lineup. What I would try to do at that point, though, is I'd organize it to where he will start, but he will also have to play a lot of minutes when LeBron isn't playing. Because they need a ball handler who can really run the offense when LeBron leaves the floor. In the playoffs, they had Caruso filling in. And he did enough, but, Rondo did it a lot better. They had Rondo do it more during the playoffs, but they're expected to lose him. And no offense to Caruso, he's amazing. That's just not his role. He didn't do bad when he had to, and even Rondo couldn't even play more minutes, but you could tell he just didn't fit in that role. It wasn't right. So Schroder can run the offense when Bron's off the floor. He's a great passer, has high IQ, is fast, younger than Rondo again, can create his own shot, and most importantly, because the Lakers' three-point percentages took a dip this year, he can shoot. So with LeBron, he's a good player, and even without him, without Bron on the floor, he's still going to be good as well. He is exactly what they needed to replace Rondo. And I don't think the deal's that. I don't think it's bad at all. Danny Green, veteran three-point shooter. I'll get more into free agents later, but it's hard to find a three-point shooter. But the thing is, Danny Green shot 36%, and he was just a catch-and-shoot, not a great defender. So Danny Green's great, underrated, but at this point in his career, he's not that valuable, if that makes sense. I really don't think he is. People will argue with me for days and days about it, but he's just take away his veteran presence, which I know is part of the team. But on the court, he's not that valuable. 36% three-point shooter, not that good of a defender, not super athletic. He's pretty smart. He has high basketball IQ, but it's not the end of the world losing him. And the 28th overall draft pick, my take on this, if you're going to trade a draft pick, this is the draft to do it. Not a lot of scouting. not many of the players have had that many workouts. Isaiah said they tried to work out the guy from Arizona State. If I'm correct, right? Arizona State was?
Nico Mannion from Arizona.
Arizona. Okay. Point guard.
Mm.
But the potential of being a star, you never know with the draft. But that's the thing. It's like not a lot of scouting. They didn't get to play that much. No March Madness, so we didn't get to see how they are in crunch time. There's a lot of things they're missing this draft. And of course, the draft class doesn't look that great to begin with. It's not awful, but it doesn't look good. So this is the draft, the trade.
I 100% agree with you. Honestly, 100%. Like you said, they didn't really get to meet with the players, work out with them too much. The virus messed all that up, messed up the tournament where you get to see guys really make or break how they could play in the big time, in the big tournament where all eyes are on you. And, you just won the championship, right? It's not like you have hope. The Lakers kind of do have holes to fill, but it's not like they are desperate, if that makes sense, because they still got 2 top 10 players, and like I just said, they just won the championship, right? So why not trade the pick away this year? It makes sense to me. I will say, I wish if I had to pick between Schroder and Rondo, I think I would love to have Rondo still, because he's a veteran guy, man. Veteran guy.
Oh man, Schroeder's just a better basketball player.
No, man, he holds Braun and AD accountable. He's the guy. He's the reason why. He's one reason why LeBron did not have the team be his and take over. Everyone has those things about Braun where they say he is someone who, he's uncoachable. He always has his coaches get fired and this and that. He's someone that used to bump heads with LeBron. He's not scared of LeBron. He'll go up to his face and tell him what's good. And LeBron said that. He's someone that holds me accountable. He's not someone I could just walk over. That's why they embrace each other so hard, so much when the final buzzer rang. He's someone who could be a leader and mentor, and someone who holds AD accountable, right? Because all those other guys in the Lakers, they're not going to hold AD accountable either. Rondo was his point guard from a few years ago. He's someone that the team possibly can need balance-wise. So I liked him on that team. I'm sure he doesn't fill up too much on the numbers on the stat sheet, but it's those little things that matters. He brings the team all together. He says, "Let's watch this film video. This is what we can't let them do, and this is what we need to do in order to win and make sure we win the championship." They executed what he said, and they won Game 6 in dominant fashion. There's a reason why he's a 2-time champion now. I'd rather have Rondo, but I'm not mad at it. It's not like we're getting Chris Paul. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say that. It's not like we're getting Rubio. Let's say that. It's not like we're getting Rubio.
I think Chris Paul would be a great thing.
I would rather have a Schroeder than a Rubio or you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I understand.
Like a Devontae Graham. You know what I mean? So I'm cool with this trade. Rondo, I think this means, I feel like this is an indicator that he's probably going to go to free agency. And like you said, nobody knows what Avery Bradley's thinking. Will he stay? Will he go? It's really tough because he's been pretty silent for, since March, basically. So it's difficult. It really is difficult. But yeah, he's definitely someone who I could see coming off the bench. But if Bradley does not come back, then for sure I see him being a starter. But if Bradley does come back, then I'm sure Schroeder will probably still come off the bench. Either way,
6 man. That's his thing.
I'm happy. Yeah, like you said, he was back second place for 6 man of the year. I like the pickup. I like the trade. It's a good move. Good move by Rob Pelinka.
It is. Here's one thing, though. I understand Rondo's value, how good he is, how he gets LeBron going, how he can bash heads with him, convince him to not always hold the ball and beat coach, stuff like that. But I just can't say Rondo was more valuable than Schroeder, man. Schroeder's this good of a basketball player. He can score like crazy. He is 2 times the scorer Rondo is.
Schroeder was
slightly...
Schroeder was valuable on a team that needed him to do more. Now he's going into a team where they might not need him to do so much. I wouldn't be surprised if his numbers go down like the way Kuzma's numbers went down. You know what I mean? Like you're comparing their numbers. You're comparing their numbers, but I mean, Schroder was on a team where he had the ball in his hands more, and I don't think he was as injured as Rondo was.
It's not a
Rondo
numbers thing. It's more the eye test because Schroder can create his own shot. Rondo can't. Rondo, not just percentage-wise, Rondo can't really shoot the three ball. I mean, playoff Rondo did somehow, miraculously. But
yeah. So you're saying from a offensive, build your own shot. I see what you mean.
And the sections that Rondo is better than him at like IQ and passing, I think he's slightly better than Schroder at those two. But Schroder is light years above him in scoring. And again, he runs the. I just say he's the better player to have when Braun's off the floor. Personally,
Braun's
so that's 6 men.
Yes, I agree.
I know what you're saying though. Like it's the behind the scenes things though. I know what you meant too. I disagree, but I know what you meant.
And that's why I like the trades. You know, it's a good point. He's a better guy to have on the floor when LeBron's on the floor. And that aspect I do. And Danny Green, you know, real quick, you know, touching up on him. You know, I liked him when he came onto the team. At the end of the day, he did win the championship. But yeah, this season we kind of saw a really bad decline of his play. You know, mostly offensively. I think defensively he still did pretty good, decent, I guess. But offensive wise, yeah. But offensive wise, he did take a huge decline. Now he's going to be traded to OKC. So at least he won a championship before he left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. And he was valuable to the team as well. He had his role. All 3-point shooters were valuable.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to my brother, and he had a good point. At the very beginning of the season, the very, very beginning, Danny Green started off the season red hot. He was making all his shots, and he was making all his 3-pointers, and we're like, all right, like this is good. And KCP was the one who was struggling. And it's kind of funny because then as the season progressed, KCP kind of like got back on track. And then for some reason, Kuzma took a lot of the heat from a lot of people. And then as we neared, you know, towards the end of the season, it was completely flipped. You know, KCP still kind of got some of it, but it was mostly Danny Green who was getting all the hate. It's just funny how it all flip-flopped throughout the season. You know, in the beginning it was Green here, KCP down here, and then by the end of the season, KCP was up here and Danny Green was down in the dumps as far as like fans and who they liked and hated on. You know what I mean? But
it's cool how that worked. KCP definitely proved himself.
Yeah, he stepped up when it mattered, and yeah, he might go. Yeah, you know.
Speaking of him, getting into that right now.
Yeah.
So we got 2 players that are reportedly opting out of their contracts. KCP being one. Yeah. Apparently, due to a couple resources, he wants a lot of money as well. He's not going to take a discount. He might. Oh, that one's tough to talk about. Should the Lakers do it? Since they are losing a shooter in Danny Green, then you need more than one 3-point shooter, obviously. Kuzma's solid at it, inconsistent.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I remember some statistics. I don't know if he improved. Kuzma was statistically one of the worst 3-point shooters in the league somehow for like a minimum of amount of attempts.
Yeah.
So like, not in general, because, you know, there's some centers that never shoot threes. Not like that, but like for shooting guards and a certain amount of attempts, Kuzma was apparently one of the worst in the league at a point. I don't know where he's at now. I say he's improved. He's in the around 35% from 3, if I'm not mistaken. But that's not enough. So honestly, it is tough. I don't think KCP's that valuable, but if he doesn't ask for too much, they gotta do it. What's your thoughts?
It's tough because we don't really know what they have up their sleeve. When I mean they, I mean like Rob Pelinka and the the staff. We don't really know what they have up their sleeve. The Dennis Schroder one that came out of nowhere. I don't know. Right, it came out of nowhere to a lot of people. So maybe they have a few more crazy tricks coming out. But, you know, you lose Danny Green as a shooter, pick up Schroder who could shoot. Right now, I think things are looking at who we want to keep. Do we want to keep KCP? Do we want to keep? They already answered Danny Green one, or do we want to keep Kuzma? Is Kuzma on the free agency list this year too, or no? I don't personally remember, but I think he is. I want to say he is, but I could be wrong. But It's like, who do you want? Like, that was the big, 10 years ago, that was the big question mark. Lakers just won in 2009, and the big debate was, who are we going to keep, Trevor Ariza or Lamar Odom? Two guys who were both valuable on the team. They ended up picking Lamar, and then they picked up Ron Artest, which was a surprise to a lot of people because he had just bumped heads with Kobe in the playoffs. Little did we know, Kobe was the one that said, "Yeah, let's get Ron." You know what I mean? That's just the way Kobe was, though. But here we are 10 years later. You're trying to figure out, these guys are valuable, but who, in the end, who should we pick and who should we say goodbye to? I feel like they're gonna, if they had to pick between Kuzma and KCP, I'm saying they're gonna stick with KCP. I think he's the one that played the most consistent throughout the season. Although I could be wrong, because there were times where Kyle Kuzma guarded the best player on the opposing team, and he got no amount of respect for it because everyone was just talking shit about his offensive prowess. But there was times where Kuzma stepped up and guarded the best player on the other team and did pretty good defensively. So it's tough. It goes hand in hand. But I think if they're going to go off how the season ended, you got to stick with getting KCP. As of right now, I see them keeping him. They're going to pay him unless, like I said, they have something up their sleeve and they're going to do something for agency. I don't know if they're going to pull off another trade. I'm not sure because I don't really know how many assets they could trade away with. But I think they'll keep KCP for right now.
Yeah, I think they'll find a way. I don't think they'll choose between him and Kuzma because Kuzma is not too expensive. He is an unrestricted or restricted free agent, but it's reported he's not asking for too much. He's most likely not going to leave. But speaking of unexpected trades, because you said the Schroder came out of nowhere.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody else expected this, but what came out of nowhere is Chris Paul.
Before we get there, though,
yeah.
Wait, let's talk about Anthony Davis.
Because he's staying.
Because he is, yeah, because he's someone that opted out. I was laughing a little bit. I was laughing because I was
he's signing a new deal.
It's no surprise. I'm honestly not surprised he opted out because he wants a new deal. But let's say imagine if he was like, I'm leaving. Honestly, I would laugh. I would laugh. You know why I would laugh? Because so many people were like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna stay no matter what, he's gonna stay." And it would be funny if he proved a lot of people wrong. You know what I mean? The reason why I would also laugh
the
only other reason why I would laugh is because he showed up and got the championship. Like if he pulled a Manny Machado where he came to the Manny Machado, he came to the Dodgers, They went to the World Series, they lost, but then he went to division rival San Diego Padres of all places. And he said, "We're gonna win before the Dodgers win." Like if he did that, but that's not the case here. AD he won the championship, so that's why I would laugh. I wouldn't really feel too bad because he did what Dwight Howard didn't do back in 2013. He came, but they didn't do good, and then he bounced like the very next year. But no, yeah, I agree with you. Anthony Davis is gonna leave. I mean, he's gonna stay. He's gonna stay.
Thanks for that reminder. I forgot. Yeah. I said he opted out. Like he's leaving. He's staying. Laker fans.
Yeah, but go ahead. Talk about the Chris Paul one, man.
So moving on to Chris Paul, it is crazy. The Suns are sending the Thunder Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, and a 2022 first-round pick. So the Suns, they're a contender. I wouldn't say a finals contender, but they're definitely making the playoffs. Devin Booker. He's great. He has a competitive mentality. They were close to making the playoffs as is. DeAndre Ayton I don't see him declining. Worst comes the absolute worst. He doesn't improve, but he's underrated. He's a solid player. He doesn't get attention. He is solid. I believe he put up 15 a game. He's a solid player. Then now you're adding Chris Paul, who I've been backing him up, and I always will. He is not a playoff choker. He is still great despite his age. He's a great natural point guard. Just one of the typical ones where he doesn't have many turnovers, has a high IQ and knows. Like there is a point where Russell Westbrook was averaging more assists, but I just knew it's like Chris Paul doesn't have a bunch of turnovers. He sees the court better. He anticipates what's going on, and he's a better defender than a lot of point guards in the league. He is an all-time talent. So the Suns, even still, he carried that Thunder team. They had Schroder. They did do good, but I shouldn't say carry. He led that team. So that trade will definitely benefit the Suns, push them to the playoffs, in my opinion. And the Thunder they're rebuilding. I don't see them. They have to.
I'll tell you what, that man Sam Presti fucking robbed the Suns, bro. He robbed the Suns. Highway robbery, bro. He only get for Chris Paul. So I earned a little respect for Chris Paul this season because he led that supposed to be rebuilding Thunder team to the playoffs when we thought they were just going to be a joke. He actually led them to the playoffs, so I respect him for that. But we're talking about a man who's way past his prime, old as shit. You gave up Rubio, Oubre, Jalen LeCue, some other guy, I don't remember who it was, and a draft pick for Chris Paul?
Yeah. What? Like, the Suns are going to be good, like I said.
Like, what? No, check this out. So, yes, you got Devin Booker, who is a beast. DeAndre Ayton, he's still a question mark for me, to be honest with you. He's underrated, but I think he needs to show some more for being a number one draft pick. You got Mikal Bridges, who's steadily improving. I liked him a lot coming out of Villanova. And then I'm trying to think. And then now you got Chris Paul, who you have that point guard, right? You have that point guard who is probably I think at this stage he's probably still a step up over Ricky Rubio. Yeah, he's a step up. So you have Chris Paul now, right? And you finally, like I said this for years now, for like at least 1 or 2 years, you finally have a really good coach in Monty Williams, who used to coach Chris Paul in New Orleans. So they have that together. They have that chemistry already. But I don't think they're going to be a playoff team because they're in the Western Conference. The Western let's not forget. Let's not forget the Western Conference is very, very, very tough. I mean,
of course.
Lakers, Clippers, Thunder, Jazz, Nuggets. Let's see. Did I say Jazz already? I might have said Jazz already. But
like they're better than the Jazz, I say already. Like you gotta remember, they were that close to making it last season.
But but Devin Booker did not do that all by himself. Yeah, he made the clutch shots. But Ricky Rubio had a hand in that, and a big hand in that was by Kelly Oubre. If they kept Kelly Oubre, then I would say yes, the Suns, they look pretty good. But losing Kelly Oubre in that trade as well, honestly, the Suns don't really take too much of a step forward for me. I would be surprised if they made the playoffs still, to be honest with you. Like
I say they're
will. They're going to be battling for 8. Maybe
this wasn't worth it. I agree with you.
But I think people are quick to be like, "Oh, Chris Paul, they're gonna be nice," but like they're not gonna be. Nice.
Chris Paul's awesome.
Yeah, but he's not gonna carry the team like that. Like
they're not finals contender. I say this trade's not worth it because Chris Paul's old. They're not finals contenders.
People
gonna retire soon, but they're making the playoffs, man.
They're barely. If they make the playoffs, they're gonna be a 7 or 8 seed. They're barely gonna make the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna make it though. I mean, who knows though? It's tough because now the Rockets are a big question mark. Memphis, you could only think they're might be better, right? I mean, Jaren Jackson's coming off an injury. New Orleans, I know they have a turnover now in coaching staff and whatnot. They're not gonna, and we'll get into that. But Drew Holiday's gone now. The keys are in Lonzo's hands, but they do have, they're gonna have what do you call it? I'm blank. Bledsoe and George Hill to maybe help him out as well. So it's that Western Conference is stacked. That's why I think people are too quick to say the Suns are going to be in the playoffs. But hey, I mean, whatever. Chris Paul brought one team to the playoffs when he wasn't supposed to. Maybe he could do it again. I'll be rooting for them. Don't get me wrong. I'll be rooting for them because I'm a big fan of Monty Williams. He's a great coach who I actually wanted the Lakers to hire for some time. But they kept hiring dumbass people like Mike Brown and Mike D'Antoni and I wasn't really a big fan of the what do you call it, the what's his name, Byron Scott hire either, but that's besides the fact. But hey, Devin Booker, I'm a big fan of him. DeAndre Ayton, I've seen him do some work. Like I said, big fan of Mikal Bridges. I'm starting to I respect Chris Paul a little bit now after this past season, but I'm gonna be rooting for them. I like that squad. It should be cool. I just think if they were able to keep Kelly Oubre in that, it would have been definitely a lot better. But man, they gave up way too much for an aging past his prime Chris Paul. Like,
I agree with that.
but hey, man,
So
it's gonna be exciting to see though. It's gonna be exciting to see.
I'm gonna
That's
quickly fly through the next one so we could talk about the draft before we head out.
yeah, talk about it, man.
The Bucks. So the Bucks, they acquired Drew Holiday, traded Bledsoe, solid shooter, George Hill, saw it off the bench, and 3 first rounders.
Yeah,
It is a lot. Personally, that is a good team. Giannis is great, but Bledsoe did his role too. I don't think they're going to improve that much. I mean,
that's tough, right? Isn't this a little bit of the same thing? It's like they got a good player, but
it's not
man,
going to push him to a championship, though.
but they gave up some pieces. You know, it's tough. But the Bucks actually made 2 trades last night. You know, the second one, right?
The other one, Bogdanovich.
Yeah, he's a
shooter. Get into that. That might
shooter.
push him to the championship now. Will
He's
they
a
win
shooter.
the finals? I'm not betting them. No. But he's a shooter that they lost.
Shooter.
So that helps.
I mean, they in the trade they traded DJ Wilson, who kind of wasn't really doing too much, and Dante DiVincenzo, who also kind of wasn't really doing too much either. But yeah, like you said, it's a crazy trade, man. You got some good pieces, but you lost some guys who were really part of that.
Drew is underrated, but
big time underrated.
The bench does matter, even though I'm the one that says role players don't matter as much in the playoffs. And it's like Drew Holiday, I think he's underrated. I'll ride by him all the time. I back him up a lot. But I don't know. Giannis, Drew, and Bogdanovich, it just doesn't sound like enough to win a finals for me, though. It's a great team.
I think they'll definitely have to do some more. I don't know if they have any more draft picks in this draft, but they're definitely going to have to pick someone up in the draft and see what they could get in free agency. But I mean, they did make some changes. I mean, that's if they want to keep Giannis, they're starting it off on the right note.
It's true. They surround him with something.
Yeah.
So next, we got a big story with James Harden.
Yeah, James Harden wants to go to Brooklyn.
That's what they be saying. And the 2 sources I really trust are Shams and Woj, and they both said nearly an identical story. He's not staying. He already declined his extension, the $50 million. First player in league history, I believe.
$50 million, man. He pulled a Dave Chappelle. That's crazy. He pulled a Dave Chappelle.
So one thing I did see, though.
$50 million.
It's crazy. One thing I did see, though. Apparently, since there is some beef with owners, this was from a Reddit user. So not as reliable as Woj, nowhere near. Apparently, the Rockets do not want to send him to Philly. Because
Philly?
That was a rumor. Too, because the owner of Philly, the Rockets got rid of their current owner.
Oh, because Daryl Morey is now a Philly, yeah.
And he loves Harden. But apparently the Rockets, Fertitta, if that's his name, the current owner right now, he won't send him to Philly no matter what. And reports are showing, not those reliable resources, that they would have traded more than just Ben Simmons. So that sounds a lot better to me than whatever the Nets could offer, because they're going to offer Dinwiddie and a couple other pieces, most likely. That sounds a lot better. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know how much is behind it, but Rockets idiots for that, if that ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know how. Honestly, it's going to be hard for me to believe that this whole Kyrie and James Harden is going to work. Because they're two guys who needs the ball in their hands. In Golden State, they were able to make it work because Curry and Clay, they're 2 guys who, they need the ball in their hands to shoot, but they're willing to pass as well. And then KD was just a perfect, complement for them. But now you're having KD with 2 guys who need the ball in their hands, right? I mean, I would like to think that maybe Harden wouldn't mind having the ball less in his hands because he's used to it. I mean, not used to it, but he in the past, he didn't have the ball in his hands a lot, right? When he first came up with Russ and KD. But Kyrie's a problem, Everywhere he goes, he kind of stirs up some nonsense. So
Harden, even though he's been a 6-man before, as you said, he stirs up some stuff too. I mean, I don't hold this against him personally because I need more evidence. I'm not a theories kind of guy. But, a lot of people say there's some beef with Chris Paul.
No,
Russ,
but Chris Paul has beef with everyone, so that's
yeah,
more.
that's
I
true.
blame that on Chris Paul.
But then
He's another.
Russ, who was friends with Harden in real life, even already wanted away from him, and a lot of Daniel House complained about his role. I mean, I feel like unexperienced players shouldn't complain about their role on a team that wins games, but
You know what though? I feel like that whole
they're a mess.
yeah, that whole thing's a mess. And regardless, for countless years, they thought they were gonna be able to beat the Warriors, and they never made any changes. And when they made the changes, it was too late. And it was just That's why they're blowing it all up right now. But that whole thing is a mess.
And
I think that
thing, what you go?
I think that was a whole combination of things.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Everything. The ownership's a mess now. Harden doesn't seem like the most. How do I word this? The player you can get along with the best. He just doesn't seem like it.
No, I guess not.
Before I get into the draft, I've been saying a free agent that the Lakers should target every week. Gonna fly through this. I say Wesley Matthews. I don't think there's much explaining needed. He is a three-point shooter, what they need with experience. Very similar to Danny Green, who they're going to lose. They both shot within 36% with some decibel points changing from three. They both played the same exact minutes per game. Wes Matthews can fill in that role. He is older, though, and hasn't been to a final, so he doesn't have that veteran presence, if it makes sense. But since AD's even got a ring now, I feel like they don't need it. And a veteran presence and just a three-point shooter that shoots 36, and it's literally just a catch and shoot. I don't think you need that much of that veteran finals experience in that kind of player. It helps, but that's my pick. He's not too expensive either.
Where was he at last season? He moved around a little bit, and I kind of lost track where he was at.
He was at Milwaukee.
Okay.
You know what? He's free agent now.
I really like that pickup.
Yeah. I like Who knows if he'll stay though with this Drew Holiday stuff? Who knows?
That's a really good suggestion there, Kyle. I actually really like that a lot. I'm a fan of Wesley Matthews. That's probably a little biased, probably, but I like that pickup because he contributes. He knows his role and he contributes to it. You know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there because I just remembered right now that I saw that he's opting out of his contract. But Rodney Hood, I like Rodney Hood. He just announced that he opted out of his contract earlier today with, I think, Portland. Let's get Rodney Hood, man. He's someone who does both sides of the floor. Let's start with defense. Elite defender. He'll do his best to stick in front of one of the better scorers on the opposing team and try to slow him down as much as possible. And then on offense, he has a pretty nice wingspan. He's pretty lengthy, athletic scorer. He can shoot. It comes off a little weird because he's left-handed, but he could shoot it, and then he could slash to the hoop. He has experience playing with LeBron in the past. He was in Cleveland with LeBron. If I'm not mistaken, he might have been on that 2016 championship team. I like Rodney Hood. So that's my free agency for today. I just thought about that. I literally just thought about it right now. So, yeah, that's my pick. Rodney Hood.
All right.
I like yours too. I like yours too. Wesley Matthews.
They're both great, man. Lakers should do them both if they could.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the NBA draft. I'm going to have you talk about players you're thinking about.
Not much to talk about here, especially because the Lakers, if all goes through, they just trade away their 28th pick in the draft, so they're not going to have anyone to pick in the first round. They'll be drafting for OKC. But yeah, man. I mean, draft is tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. I've seen a few more mock drafts in the past few days. The way it's looking to me, like we discussed a few weeks ago, Kyle, no changes here. Anthony Edwards going number 1, James Wiseman going number 2, and Melo Ball going number 3 to Charlotte. I saw that. The thing that did make me kind of happy is I saw that my guy Onyeka, they're having him move up. He's kind of slowly moved his way up in the mock drafts. A lot of people really think he's the best big in the draft now over Wiseman. You have a few analysts and scouts saying he's actually the best big in the draft.
Wow, that's a good jump.
He recently, I remember as early he was going like maybe like somewhere in the lottery. Then he sneaked into the 10. Then he moved up to 9 and 8. I saw him a lot of mocks going to like Detroit or what do you call it? Washington. But I think the most recent one, I saw him going number 5. And I was the highest I've seen him go on the mock draft. I don't remember who has the pick, but I liked it. I was like, all right, I like that one. It wasn't Chicago. Chicago has 4. Whoever has the 5th pick, I saw that they were in the mock draft looking to get Onyeka Okongwu, and I was like, all right, top 5, man, that's pretty cool. And I remember liking the team that it was. I don't know if you have it in front of you or not, but no, other than that, nothing really changed in the top 3. I think it's going to be fun to see. You know what? Nothing's really set in stone either. A lot of people on ESPN are saying that they still could be looking for people to trade.
I'm saying some Killian Hayes up here in the top 3.
Yeah, there's some shakeup. There's some shakeup to it. I know that what do you call it? Some people are thinking that maybe even Minnesota, Golden State, they could even trade their picks still. So
this draft's going to be unpredictable. I like it.
Yeah, it could be a little unpredictable. Oh, was it Cleveland? No, I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Sorry, 6. They're saying Obi Toppin goes 5 to Cleveland. 6, Atlanta getting Onyeka, which I kind of like. I like because Trae Young, you could throw it up to that guy. I know they have John Collins. I think he was hurt last season. Though. I don't remember seeing him play too much.
Yeah, he's hurt.
But I like him being in Atlanta. It'd be cool. It's an exciting city. They got some fresh unis, some new uniforms this season. They're finally getting rid of those ugly ass like red with the neon shit that they were wearing the past few years. They got a nice uniforms this year where they're kind of they're mixing a little bit of the old with the new. So him going to number 6, I'm not mad at it. But yeah, unpredictable draft. I'm excited for it. I think after the lottery, it might get a little weird because I'm seeing a lot of names in the mock drafts that were from guys who I really didn't know too much about. Some like European players, some guys from like various colleges that I really didn't get to watch that much this past season. But yeah, like we said in the beginning, we bring it full circle. This was the draft where might not trade out of it, right? Because you don't not really sure what you're getting from it.
Yeah, one thing before we go. It's kind of a story, actually. I've seen some highlights, but not much is known. Okay, so the website The Ringer, they do a mock draft every year, and I advise people, it's awesome. It goes very much in detail. But projected later on earlier, now he's bumped up to 7. They have Devin Vassell, who has a bunch of pros listed. Off-ball defense, premier shooting, hustle, on-ball defense, one of the best defenders in this year's class with the developing offensive game. He's just a shooter now, but he could develop into more than just a shooter. But to cut it short, because they go in so much detail. They do plus and minuses, like pros and cons.
Yeah.
He has let me count this, 4, 5, 6 pluses. He has 3 minuses. Everybody else that was projected above him, hell, everybody in the top 10, nobody has that few minuses, a plus-minus ratio. So I don't know why he wasn't even projected in top 10 earlier. And I've watched his highlights. He is great. He has no cons according to this website, which it's not reliable. You never know, but something has to be up. Everybody look into Devin Vassell and DM me on the social media. He's from Florida State, sophomore. He's a wing. So anybody, let me know why. I haven't really heard of this guy till last week. Let me know why he is projected so low despite having no cons for a while. Because the Ringer updates this a lot. He had 1 or 2 earlier. I don't know if it's lack of scouting or what it is. but one of the best defenders. He's a good shooter. He shot 41.5% from three. They say very high possibility of becoming more than just a shooter. Yeah, he's barely projected inching in the top 10. So that's an interesting story. People, do your research, look him up, DM me. I'm gonna do more of it. Isaiah nodding his head. After the draft next week, me and Isaiah will analyze him some more. He's the story of this episode, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next week where we can finally kind of analyze who picks who and what goes where. You know what I mean? And my next week, we're gonna have some free agency too, because free agency opens up on the 20th. So
It's gonna
definitely have some stuff to talk about next week.
Yeah, so everybody, make sure you follow Franchise Sports Media everywhere at The Franchise LV. And Isaiah, thanks for doing the show as always.
Yeah. Thanks for listening,
everybody.
guys.
Enjoy the draft.